Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of Intuitive Angling, and man, I really appreciate you guys making some time out of your day to spend with me on the video. And we're going to be talking about Jason Christie's win at the first NPFL tournament last week on Santee Cooper Lake. This was the inaugural tournament for no live scope. Jason won the tournament, and we're going to get into that a little bit. Got some commentary on it, and curious to get your guys' feedback as well. Also, guys, quick invitation. I just like to invite everybody to please consider hitting that subscribe button here at Intuitive Angling. It's free and easy, man. We're really trying to get that channel to 150,000 subscribers, so that's much appreciated. And also, guys, if you want to go to the next level on the channel, you can become a channel or Patreon member. Just go to my homepage or my my channel description, and you can get all the information to become a channel member there. I really appreciate that. Okay, guys, if you didn't see it, Jason Christie won that NPFL last week, no live scope tournament, in dominating fashion. He had 2 of the 3 days, he had 30-pound plus bags. And guys, I am so happy. He caught him fishing a spinnerbait on cypress trees. I mean, as old school as you can get. And this is such a refreshing change of pace from the domination we've seen the last 2 years with the Cheaterbox. It's like, I can't tell you how happy I am to actually see some real bass fishing again. And guys, everybody I know that has followed NPFL or is fishing those tournaments over there, the enthusiasm is off the charts because the fact that the Cheaterbox is not allowed over there. People can go out and actually fish their skills and their strengths. Now, here's the thing about it. It's like Jason Christie arguably is one of the top bass fishermen of all time. He's just an unbelievable talented angler. He was dominating. I remember fishing tournaments around him back at Grand Lake in Oklahoma before he even turned pro. And he was dominating locally, and he is a famous spinnerbait fisherman. You know, some of the best spinnerbait fishermen in the world come from Oklahoma. And the problem has, Jason, like everybody else out there, the last couple of years, their performance has suffered because of the advent of the Cheaterbox. Because what happens with the Cheaterbox is that it makes all of those talents that Jason showcased at Santee Cooper Lake last week worthless, absolutely worthless, in the advent of forward-facing sonar. Now, granted, in that particular tournament, you know, the fish were real close to spawning. There was more fish up shallow than there normally is, and if there's going to be a tournament one, traditional bass fishing, they hit it at a perfect time, just sort of a late pre-spawn, early spawn type of a thing. So, yeah, that is one reason he caught such massive bags shallow there. And even if it had been a Cheaterbox tournament, you know, there probably still would have been some good bags caught shallow. But this is what the sport has needed. And here's the thing about it, guys. Let's look at that NPFL tournament and NPFL a little bit. NPFL has gained the respect of every freaking serious bass angler, every freaking serious industry person for their, you know, stance to, you know, be the adult in the room and move up and ban forward-facing sonar from the tournaments. I haven't heard one negative thing about it. The only negative thing you'll ever hear about it is from the dudes that have their umbilical cord connected to a live scope. Other than that, people love it. It's back to real bass fishing, the way bass fishing was meant to be. Okay, now here's the point I want to make. When you talk about in terms of angler enthusiasm and tradition and heritage of the sport and fan participation and people being interested in viewership, what is wrong with not having forward-facing sonar like they did in the NPFL? Because everything is better with it. Are you telling me right now that you would rather see some flat brimmer throw a weenie worm out in 100 foot of water with their head glued to a live scope, or would you rather watch Jason Christie throw a big spinnerbait next to a cypress tree and see an 8-pounder flush it just under the surface? It's a no-brainer. Everybody would go for the big spinnerbait by the cypress tree. And this is one of the things that I don't understand. It's like we have got such a movement against this forward-facing sonar, but for whatever reason, Bassmaster and MLF and some of the other tournament organizations out there, they have got their heels dug into the fact that this is just the way it's going to be. And it's like, despite the outrage that, you know, the co-angler participation's dropping down into the toilet, you know, the industry is tanking, the fishing tackle industry is tanking because of forward-facing sonar. The viewerships are down because of forward-facing sonar. Just the overall enthusiasm for fishing is lower than it's ever been because of forward-facing sonar. Yet they just will not relent, man. They just will not relent. And I guess until, you know, those massive checks stop coming in from the electronic companies to those organizations, they're just gonna, you know, just ignore, you know, all the outrage that's happening across the country and continue putting that money in the bank, despite the fact everybody's all pissed off and the sport's being degraded and the tradition and the heritage of the sport's being degraded. We got so many bass dying from barotrauma issues because they're getting caught deep. Told you guys about the tournament I fished down at Table Rock last weekend, where I went back to put my fish in the live release tank there, and freaking every fish in there except mine was floating belly up from getting caught so deep with the cheater box. So anyway, guys, I just want to encourage everybody to give a shout out to NPFL. Let them know that you really appreciate and support the fact that real bass fishing is back at that organization. And just do your part to really shame the other organizations that are not following suit, because it's pathetic, it's weak, it's just not right for any aspect of the sport. There's not zero redeeming quality in the use of spotlighting for bass. So anyway, guys, I was really thrilled by that, and that's one of the things that I'm really cover a lot this year is those NPFL tournaments, because that's going to showcase talent. Now, here's the thing about it, guys. The way that Jason Christie won that tournament, throwing a spinnerbait on Cypress, and all the other guys that caught him shallow out there, these are true art forms. Throwing a spinnerbait on a cypress tree and understanding the profile and the vibration of the spinnerbait and the color that you need to set up, and understand your casting angles, and understanding your boat positioning, and understanding the mood and the personality of the fish to trigger it on that big spinnerbait, that is an art form that takes decades to perfect. It's not like the cheater box that doesn't require any skill whatsoever. The only skill that you have to have is to know how to turn on and off button on a video game screen and freaking cast right to the fish that it shows you on that screen. That's not an art form. Don't pat yourself on the back if you go out and catch fish with the cheater box. Don't pat yourself on the back if you get a check with the cheater box, because it's an illegitimate way to fish. And the only way that we should be fishing for bass is through these traditional, primal, instinctual, art form aspects of fishing, like Jason won this tournament, last week with Santee Cooper. Guys like Jason Christie, and I'm not speaking for Jason, but I've talked to enough of them to understand, is they hold their nose around forward-facing sonar. Guys like Jason Christie and the experts like he is, and the traditional guys that they're a true artist. That's the only word to put it. They are true artists at what they do. They have had hold their nose around this forward-facing sonar because, they had to do it to compete. They were forced to do that to compete. Are you telling me that Jason Christie would rather throw or a jig head minnow out in 100 foot of water, or throw that big booyah spinnerbait next to that cypress tree? I mean, it's not even an issue to discuss. So anyway, guys, keep the pressure on, man. Like I said, thank you again, NPFL, for taking the lead and being the real adults in the room. NPFL has emerged as the leader in the sport of pro fishing, without a doubt. I mean, there's no doubt whatsoever. Bassmaster and MLF are distant seconds and thirds behind NPFL because of this decision. So just wanted to give you guys my opinion out there, and let me know what y'all think, and we'll talk later.